So you go out on shift during the week, you go out, you drink, and it was never really an issue, especially because I had like purpose and I legitimately liked work. So my drinking starts intensifying, getting worse and worse when I go up front because I'm so bored and I feel like I have no purpose for that time period that I'm working in courts.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
The vision of our lives is often calm seas, sunshine, rainbows, and a straight path to success. Believing in our hearts that any obstacle in our path will be easily traversed, we do our work to ensure that we have every opportunity to win at the game of life. When the storm hits, it will usually start as a light drizzle, replacing the sunshine only moments earlier. Before we know it, the waves are crashing over the bow and we are out of control. Chaos ensues, and the only hope is to survive. If we can weather the storm, often there is a hidden rainbow at the end. We're better prepared on our road to success. The only true preparation for life is gained by experience. I'm Kevin Donaldson here with Mike Failace, and on this episode of the Suffering Podcast, we welcome Nick Ricciotti to discuss the suffering of substance abuse. Nick knows all too well about the path that addiction and overindulgence can take you. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you for having me.
I'm just surprised you got his name right. I mean, that was a first shot, too.
I am having the hardest time in this studio because we have an influx of Italian names coming in.
Because they're all from Hoboken, mainly.
They're like a mile long, and they don't make sense in the English language.
Nah, you got the double C, the double T, throws everything off.
Thanks so much for coming in. You know, I've seen you speak. We run in somewhat of the same circles,
Yep.
And you got a fantastic story. Everybody's really in for a treat tonight.
Thank you.
But before we go any further, we take a social media question every week. This one comes from Amanda143, and it says, if your life had a theme song, what would it be? And the way that I took this, let's say you were a WWE superstar and you're walking out of the tunnel, what song plays in the background?
So the first song that comes to head is a song by Eminem, and it's called 25 to Life. And it's pretty much about how he dedicates his life to hip hop, and at the end they're just like, fuck you. You know? So that's kind of, I dedicated 6 years of my life to law enforcement, and at the end of it, it was just like a see you later.
Yeah. You know, Eminem's one of those artists, and I like some Eminem songs, but he's always so damn angry. It just seems very exhausting.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, come on, you can crack a smile. It's okay, man. It's okay.
He's a little serious.
He really is, and it's real tough.
Especially in his like earlier music too.
But you do Without Me with Dr. Dre, and that was sort of goofy. The video was goofy. So what's the problem?
He's had a couple goofy ones.
Yeah, I don't know. He just, every time you see him, he's got that serious bitch face on, and I don't know what it is. Mike, what do you think? He's checking his watch. Just so you know, we try to curb the cursing early on in the show, but go ahead.
All right. I got 2 songs that I could use. One, you're going to love. My Way by Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, but you're not walking out to a tunnel my
No.
way. You're going to put the crowd to sleep.
All right. Then I'm going to pick Fuck You by Overkill.
It's a wonderful lyrical name.
Yes, it is. It's a fantastic song. It just don't care about anything.
They weave
You know,
they weave a fabric of lyrics.
Says we don't care what you say, fuck you. And that's the way I live my life. I don't care what you say about me.
Yep.
You like me, you don't.
So,
I got enough friends.
You know, if it wasn't walking out of a tunnel, my life lyrically would be The Gambler by Kenny Rogers.
Yeah.
You know, know when to hold him and know when to fold him. And there's plenty of times when I should have folded and I just stayed in and went all in. But if I was walking out of a tunnel and there was a theme song, do you ever hear the song Wood by Alice in Chains?
no.
Yeah.
It's got a real low beat in the beginning, and it sort of builds in a crescendo. And, you know, it's about a guy who's, the first line is know me broken by my master. And, you know, I got broken down in my life, but, you know, at the end, if you would, could you? You basically come back up. So, you know, that would be my song that I would march out to. But then there's always the fan favorites, you know, Thunderstruck or
You're right.
Welcome to the Jungle.
Hell's Bells.
Ride the Lightning.
Or actually, Accept has a song called Balls to the Wall.
But then there was
And that's another way. Just live life balls to the wall.
But then there was the Disturbed song which we were talking about earlier.
Down with the Sickness.
Down with the Sickness. I mean, you listen to that song.
Oh man,
I just want to go work out. That's all I want to do. So Amanda143, thank you so much for sending that in, and keep sending in your questions, and we will try to get them on the air. But before we go any further, let's give a big shout out to our marquee sponsor, and that's Toyota of Hackensack. We don't trust anybody, but we do trust them. So if you're looking for a car, go to ToyotaHackensack.com. Let them find you a car. The guys over there are real good.
My father's car.
Got your father's car.
I need a new car soon.
You know,
Toyota
Hackensack.
Toyota Hackensack.
Go over see Freddie.
I'll check out Freddie.
Just tell him we sent you, and so they can continue their sponsorship with us, right?
Sounds good.
And you notice nobody said any Elvis Presley songs in that whole thing. I'm just saying.
Listen, we could go suspicious. Hey,
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go back to Elvis. So
Jailhouse
I
Rock.
was in a chase once, and I had the radio on. I forget what station it was, but Burnin' Love comes on. If you have never been in a police chase and just listen to Burnin' Love, you're going 75 miles an hour.
Right.
You're going 75 miles an hour and Burnin' Love's playing. I'm telling you what, your adrenaline's going through the roof.
How about Highway Star?
Highway Star.
You're my highway star.
Why don't you have Neil Diamond playing during chase? That's what you guys listen to in Lyndhurst, right? So, Nick, you travel. You didn't travel that far. You're a local guy. It's always nice to see a familiar face in here. I know enough about you because I've seen you speak, and we've talked at length. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So, I grew up in Morris County. Grew up in Mount Arlington. Went to Roxbury school system. Growing up, normal childhood, normal family. I have a sister. Parents are still together. Pretty nucleus family. I was an athlete growing up. I played baseball and basketball in high school until I started thinking about going to college. I wanted to play baseball in college, so my senior year I cut out the basketball, started focusing just on baseball, and I ended up getting a scholarship to a Division II baseball school. So I went to college to play baseball.
What school?
Chestnut Hill College.
That one
Down in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Down your neck of the woods.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So they were a startup program. So I went down there figuring it was going to be my best shot to play.
Division II. Hey, listen, they pay for your college. That's the main thing.
Yep. I did get some money to go play, and then they threw me some other wishy-wash grants and stuff like that. So I went down there. I played for 2 years. Going into my junior year, I dislocated my shoulder right before the season, and then I kind of call it quits. I really wasn't in love with playing baseball anymore at that point. I more wanted to focus on experience in college. So
when you go to college on a scholarship, though, you're a slave to them.
Yeah, I mean, so my high school baseball coach did a really good job of preparing the guys that went and played college baseball for what college baseball would be like, minus obviously the living out on your own aspect.
Yeah.
But in terms of what practices were going to be like and the discipline and what it was going to require to succeed, he did a really good job. So when I went and played, nothing that was brand new to me in terms of what was expected from me as an athlete.
Well, I remember when I got done playing in college, when I got done playing football was like a task. It was no longer fun to me. And I was done.
Right.
And I just didn't want to play no more. And I look back, I'm 48 years old now. I look back at that 21-year-old kid and go, dude, you're so stupid. Because I'd give anything just to play one more day. And
Agreed.
I can't.
I always say that. I say, give me one more series in football.
Yep.
Just one more.
And carry me off the field.
Yeah. And when I quit, my dad told me, you're going to regret it. Don't do it. And I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm good. And you look back now and I'm like, I wish I stayed.
Yeah.
Now you're playing in softball leagues.
Yeah.
You'll just
Yeah. So
reliving the glory years.
yeah. Well, I ended up coaching. Once I graduated college, I ended up coaching. So I majored in criminal justice. When I went into college, wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. So I went in undeclared, and eventually I had to declare. And I knew that I was awful at math, so I didn't want to take any math classes. So this is literally how I picked a major. Is I went through and saw what can I test out of math and not have to take a math class. Criminal justice was one of them, so I just declared criminal justice based off that.
Now, did you find a love for the criminal justice field, or was that just a means to an end?
It was a means to an end in school. I mean, some of the courses were interesting, but for the most part, it was just to try and honestly pick an easy degree.
How fast can I get out of here?
How fast can I get out? Yeah, what is going to be the less time consuming degree for me to pursue?
The only class I took in college that was criminal justice degree related was political science, and that was in the criminal justice field.
Right.
But that was a fun class because I'm going to explain to you why. I had to write a paper on a law that I disagreed with, and one of them was the legalization of marijuana. I do not agree with the legalization of marijuana. I just I know I'm not going to make enemies saying that, but I don't. But I had to write a paper on it,
Right.
and then I started doing research on it, and I was like, holy shit, they got some valid points
Right.
for it. The recidivism rate of people arrested for marijuana is so low, it's almost non-existent.
Yeah.
Once they do their time, they get out, they're done. Things like that, and then the damage it does to your body. So I learned a lot. It didn't really change my stance, but what it did is it gave me a healthy understanding of the opposing view, and that's what it was designed to do, obviously.
Well, that's what life's all about, is knowing both sides of each story.
Right.
And then trying to meet in the middle.
Right. And that's what some of those classes entail. There's like healthy debates on, important issues, important topics.
Yeah.
So,
Well, isn't that what life is? Just opening up a healthy debate.
that's it.
You get so jaded. You get an idea. You get so jaded, and you don't want to hear the other side of the story. Once you hear the other side of the story, like I said, you were against it, and you heard the other side. It's like,
Yeah.
Well, that's where the issue comes, is people don't want to hear the other side of the story.
yeah, exactly.
Because they're afraid. I think a lot of it comes from they're afraid their points are gonna be proven wrong.
Yeah.
They become married to their opinions, and I think that's dangerous for anybody. But so criminal justice, when you got out, you finally graduated.
So I graduated in 4 years. My two guys who used to coach me when I was in high school, they opened up their own baseball facility. So I was friends with them, so they hired me. I went. I coached with them. I ran the facility until I was looking to find a job in criminal justice. I was looking to be a cop. So I took the civil service test. When I graduated college in 2011, it was that point where 2009, 10, 11, it really wasn't the best time to get hired as a cop. People were laying off. Guys were going on the rice list from civil service.
Oh God, I remember that. I was high enough up on the seniority where I'm like, whew, thank God.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So it took me 3 years to find a job. I graduated in 11, and I ended up getting hired in 2014 with the Morris County Sheriff's Office in the jail.
Did you go alternate? They make you go alternate route?
No, so I didn't. I applied to try to get in an alternate route program, but I never got in. So I took the civil service test, and I checked corrections and law enforcement, and I ended up getting a call from the Morris County Sheriff's Office for the Corrections Bureau.
Yeah.
So I took that as a stepping stone to try and get,
You at least get a PTC number.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you don't get it as corrections. You don't?
So in New Jersey, first off, you start working in the jail before you go to the academy. So I never actually went to the academy for the jail because I ended up getting hired by the upfront Morris County Sheriff's Office, just the law enforcement bureau.
Yeah.
The same time I was going to get to the corrections academy.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Well, and your PTC number for corrections doesn't transfer it over to law enforcement.
You got to take the 2 weeks of 2C.
You got to take the whole academy.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you.
That's how they do it in Bergen County. You get hired as a CO, you got to take an in-service or in-house civil service test, and then they got to put you through the whole police academy.
Yeah, there's no waiver for COs over to law enforcement.
See, I
there was that for a little while in Bergen County.
Yeah.
Where you only had to take the couple courses.
That's
I
what
think
I thought.
it's 2C and Title 39.
Title 39, yeah. You would think, but no, you got to take the whole thing over again.
And domestic violence.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's good that you got hired, and then so you get on. I'm assuming you're ecstatic.
So, yes and no. So for the sheriff's office, the only reason why I left the jail, when I was working in the jail, I legitimately I liked it. I got along with all my supervisors. I got along with the guys who I was working with. I didn't have a problem working with inmates. Like I said, I legitimately liked it, but it wasn't the ultimate goal. I didn't, when I went to school and decided I was going to be a cop, I didn't want to be a CO. I wanted to be on the street. I wanted to be a real cop, quote unquote. So I took the PTC in hopes to just get hired on a real department, not on a municipal town.
Right.
Yeah.
Where you'd be out, you doing stops, all that kind of stuff, answering DV calls. So that's why I decided to go up front and leave the jail, is because I thought it'd better my chance. I was wrong because I wasn't able to transfer out. So I had one offer to transfer out when I got hired up front. Scotch Plains offered me a job, but it was just too far from where I was working or from where I was living. personal situations with my girlfriend at the time. It just wasn't going to work out, so I turned it down. So in 2000, I got hired in the jail in 2014. In 2016, I leave the jail. I go up front, and that's where like I did my career there. You know, I did 4 years up front.
And you got stuck in the courts?
So I started in the courts.
Been there, done that. I started at Bergen County Sheriff's Department.
Yeah, and that's part of the
Court security.
Yeah, that's how everything kind of goes downhill. It's not having a purpose. So, like, I started in the courts, and I had like these high hopes, these big visions of getting out of courts like right away, and it just like did not happen. So I did probably 2 years-ish or so, 2.5 years maybe in courts until I was able to transfer out. I went over to Warrens for a little bit, and then got myself in a lot of trouble over there, off duty, nothing on duty, everything off duty, get transferred back into courts, and then the whole career kind of shuts down there.
Did you have like child support warrants and violation probation warrants, or?
Yeah. So that's what we were doing, like post conviction.
Yeah.
So what kind of trouble off duty did you get into?
So my vices were alcohol and painkillers, and my drinking. Like when I was in college and stuff like that, like, yeah, I drank, you know, I binge drank just like most college kids do. You know, I went on spring break for 4 days, like binge drink down there. Mm-hmm. But it was never really an issue. It never really affected my life. Even when I was working in the jail, we'd go out after shift because, you know, you have off days, like compared to like your normal friends who are working 9 to 5s. So you go out on shift during the week, you go out, you drink, and it was never really an issue, especially because I had like purpose and I legitimately liked work. So my drinking starts intensifying, getting worse and worse when I go up front because I'm so bored and I feel like I have no purpose for that time period that I'm working in courts. And to make matters worse, I was just spending a lot of time alone. So for me, like, I always hated being alone. I still don't like being alone. I'm better at it now. It's like one thing that I've worked on is being okay alone. But I couldn't stand it at the time. So what do you do when you're bored alone and all your friends don't want to go out because they work normal jobs? Like, you call other cops that have days off similar to you and you go out. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did.
And then where do you go?
To the bar.
Right to the bar.
To the bar.
What did we used to do after group therapy?
Yeah, we went to a bar.
We went to a bar.
Yep.
Some of us would just eat and some of us would just drink.
Yep.
Are you eating anything? No.
I ruined it for everybody. I wasn't allowed to drink.
Yeah.
Because rehab did not suit me well. I did not like it. So now, out of 7 days, how many of those days were you drinking?
It varied.
Yeah.
So I would binge and I would go on like tears where I would drink like 3, 4, sometimes 5 days in a row. And then like something would happen. I would piss somebody off, somebody close to me, my girlfriend at the time. I would like kind of see the light and I would stop for a little bit.
Stop for 3 days and say, okay, I'm okay. I could stop.
So the breaks were longer than that. But then like my friends would hit me up who I was going out and drinking with, all cops. And I would go out with them again.
Because you think that you have this moment of clarity. This sobriety. You're like, this ain't a problem. I got this big. I got this beat. This is not a big deal.
I got it. This time I promise it's going to be different.
Yeah.
You know, and like the longer breaks came like when I would get myself in trouble off duty. Because when you're going out drinking with your friends to the bar, like, how do you get home?
You drive.
You're going to drive home. You know, so
Or you're going to have another drunken cop drive you home.
Yeah. Either way, it's not a safe situation for anybody. So that's what I did. Like, I was drinking and driving a lot. Like, when I was drinking, nobody could take my keys. Like, people tried. Like, you were not going to take my keys. I was going to drink and I was going to drive home because I'm a big boy. I can take care of myself. And on top of that, like, there started becoming like an adrenaline like risk factor with the drinking and driving.
I can see that.
Yeah.
But, you know, having the brass pass doesn't help.
No.
Yeah, because...
No.
Badge America card.
How many times were you caught?
Define caught.
Or pulled over.
Stopped.
Yeah.
And let go.
So there's 3 like big ones.
Yeah. Support for the Suffering Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who's the best in men's below-the-waist grooming.
Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle.
Inside the package, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0, Weed Whacker Ear, Nose, Hair Trimmer, and the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant.
And we also got the Crop Reviver Ball Toner. This thing is a life changer. Along with that, boxer brief.
I'm going to tell you what, these are like high quality boxer briefs, and this is no joke. I'm not saying this just because
really
Manscaped sent it to us. These are nice. My boys are going to be quite happy in there.
You can't tell Kevin's wearing them under the table right now. And we also have a nice travel package.
Join over 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer just for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code TSP at manscaped.com.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot of balls.
There's probably, just off the top of my head, 6 DUIs. Mm-hmm. So like the 3 smaller ones were like, yeah, maybe had too many, see you later. The 3 bigger ones were like, the first one, I was like cooperative, I was respectful, I was grateful. The guy did me a solid, he ends up driving me home. The next 2, I should have been put in cuffs, like absolutely, there's zero doubt about it. Like the fact that the guys who were involved with my last 2 pullovers, getting drunk, like blow my mind, and I'm like so grateful to this day that they didn't put me in cuffs.
Yeah, that was always the tough thing. There was a bunch of people who used to drive through our town that were cops. They lived in an adjacent town, and they were always drinking, always drunk. And most of the time, you'd see them flying around the corner. You pull them over, you recognize him. You're like, yeah, you know what? I think your car's smoking. I think, your car's overheating. Why don't you pull it in here and I'll give you a ride home.
Right.
I'd rather give you a ride home. But there was one of the siblings who gave us a hard time. And I remember asking him, I remember looking him right in the eye and go, bro, you really want to do this? Because my job's more important than yours. Yeah. That's what it comes down to. I'm going to try my best to protect you. I'm going to try my best to do what I can. It's professional courtesy. Right. I don't find anything wrong with it. It's a safety issue. But don't give me a bag of shit, dude.
I always say it's me or you, and it ain't going to be me.
Yeah. I'm with you. And I say that I'm grateful, and I am like incredibly grateful, don't get me wrong. But there is like this side of me that has always thought, like, what if that first guy wrote me? You get a DUI, like as a cop, like, are you going to lose your job? In my department, no, because we were averaging like a DUI a year when I was there.
Okay. Well, yeah, there's other opportunities in there for DUIs.
Yeah. So, like, you get a DUI. Am I going to lose my job? No. Am I going to be on the shit list for a while? Yeah. I'll work out of it.
Yeah.
Same thing the second time. That guy gave me that DUI. Like, would things have been different? Would my career have gone down the drain like it did? Maybe, maybe not. These are all, like, just big what ifs.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're valid questions, like, if you're a cop, to ask yourself, like, because you think that you're doing that guy a solid by, like, all right, let me help this guy out. But are you, or are you enabling him?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you enabling him to go do the same thing over and over again, like I was?
That's a good perspective on it, because you're actually emboldening his ability. Look, I got away with it once. I'm going to do it again.
And that's what happened to me. Like, if you look at like my off-duty incidences, they just got worse and worse and worse.